Welcome to Quilting on the Side, the podcast where we uncover the secrets to turning your passion for quilting into a profitable side hustle.
I'm Tori from the Quilt Patch by Tori.
And I'm Andi from True Blue Quilts. And together, we're your co-hosts on this exciting journey of creativity, entrepreneurship, and all things quilting.
We're here to help you navigate the world of quilt pattern design, course creation, digital marketing, and running an online quilt business. We've been through the ups and downs ourselves, so we know what it takes to make money from your favorite hobby.
That's right, Tori. We're going to share our experiences on how we've grown our businesses while balancing family with other paying work responsibilities. It's not always easy, but it's definitely possible. Welcome back to another episode of Quilting on the Side. We are so glad that you have decided to join us. And before we dive into our discussion today, I want to mention that this episode is sponsored by Workshops Unleashed, which is Tori's great book on developing and marketing your, obviously, workshops if you're planning to teach your craft, but it does have some really good tips and tricks for any type of offer, which slides right into what we wanted to talk about today, Tori, because we've both been in business for a few years, me a bit longer than you, but in the interest of working smarter, not harder, I realized the benefit of continuing to promote older products and services. And I noticed you did the same thing this year. You relaunched one of your Learn to Quilt courses. So that got me thinking, what advice can you give to people that really need to dig into this and continue marketing those ideas that they had from years past? So tell us how you relaunched everything.
Yeah, so Relaunching is a project, but it doesn't have to be. What I launched, as you stated, was my my Learn to Quilt series. So it's Learn to Quilt level 1, level 2, and then my block of the month that I recorded in, I don't even remember what year it was. It was like 3 years ago. It was right before my daughter was born because I got pregnant during it. So it was a few years ago. Before we dive completely into relaunching, since we've doubled our listeners since the last time we talked about launching, which, oh my gosh, thank you guys. This has been such a journey. Launching is about turning your offer, so whether that's a quilt pattern, a course, a service, into an event. So you have an open date and you have a close date. Now, if it's an evergreen offer, that close date can be the end of a sale. It can be the end of a bundle. It doesn't necessarily have to close the door completely, but you do want something to kind of end that launch period and wrap it up nice and tight with a bow. So that's launching. It can be as complicated or as simple as you like it to be. So with relaunching anything, again, whether that's a pattern, a workshop, even your service, like a long arm quilter, you can think of this in 3 parts. Kind of how I do it. The first part is probably the bulk of the work, and that is preparing. And there's a lot of stuff inside preparing for a launch. So first you have to decide what you want to launch, and that can just be hard in and of itself. So a lot of us have been in business, like you mentioned. I've been in business I'm going into my 6th year now. I know, Andi, you've been in longer, and we've got patterns. We have 10 years. Yeah. Patterns, workshops, things you've played with, and from year 1 and on. So if you want to relaunch something old, what you want to do first is look at the product. Does it need any tweaks before you start planning and preparing, launching it back into the marketplace? So if it's a pattern, do you need to update the cover? If it is, because usually we learn stuff, right, over 5 to 10 years, you're going to learn a lot when it comes to pattern design, when it comes to teaching, and we may want to go in there and tweak some things. So first, you want to improve your product, make sure it's up to date on all the latest marketing things, all the latest technology, because technology will advance. So if your links aren't working quite as well as they did, if you want to put a QR code in now that links to a video, that's a great update to do for a pattern. So think about that. It's kind of the same with planning, right? We want to look at what went well when you launched it and what didn't go so well. So typically with an older pattern, we're not as, well, you may be happy with the sales that you've done. Typically with my first patterns, I'm like, how can I make this better? I sold 10 the first time I launched a pattern and I was over the moon. Now, if I sold 10, I'm like, okay, that was okay. That's okay. So let's see what else we could do to up those sales. So you want to look at what didn't go so well and what did go well. Look at how much you shared and what you shared. So did you use email? Did you use social media? And I know me and Andy, we talked about this a lot where Andy's like, I thought I talked about it a ton. And I looked back at my Instagram and I posted like 3 times. So you want to take some time to really look at what did you actually share? Because we do a lot, at least for me, I do a lot of mind work. And I think just like Andy said in a previous conversation, that she felt like she shared a lot, but what we actually shared was minimal. Because we do a lot.
Yeah. So it's like you said, we're thinking about things all the time, but our audience is not listening to all of our inner thoughts. So you really do have to push your content out there and talk about it online in all the places and, really overshare because many times for the message to think in. It's like that meme about the mom. Why are you always yelling? Because you didn't listen the first 10 times I said it.
Yeah, I like that analogy. You didn't listen the first 10 times I said it. Okay, so we're looking at what did you share and how much did you share? Then we're going to think about how did it make you feel in the moment? So if this was 10 years ago, you may need to really kind of sit down and be like, okay, where was I 10 years ago? I really like looking back at my Instagram for that reason, because it's a very visual. Like, where was I when, 10 years ago when I first launched my pattern? And I noticed that like I was still making quilts for other people and just remembering what mindset I was in. And then how did it feel to launch it? And sometimes it can feel really good. Sometimes it doesn't feel so great. And then you want to dig into what felt good and kind of stick with that. So did it feel good talking about it on video? Did it feel good sharing on Instagram? Did it feel better just posting really cool pictures on Pinterest and letting it kind of be organic? What did you write about in the emails? Did you share the story behind the patterns? What did you do and what felt good? And then do more of that. And then what do you need to change? So it's been years, maybe months since you relaunched this offer. Are there any new ideas you want to try? Did you see, like, Andy, you did a cool launch one time when you were hiking and you were showing bits and pieces of a pattern and hinting at it for, what was it, like 10 days? Like, how long did
I can't believe you remember that campaign. That was one of my patterns. And I hired a friend who is a photographer. We went to a local park and she just, we spent a couple hours taking pictures. And I planned a 10-day Instagram sequence, but that was just one post every day. And like, you need to triple that.
Yeah, post it and then do a video and then post it and then do like a reel.
Right. And the stories. And like you said, the technology changes. So we have stories, we have shorts on YouTube now. So I definitely could use that same core concept, but just increase it. And this goes back to some of our ideas about email templates and repurposing pictures and videos. You can clip them, you can add different captions and titles and overlays and just push it out again. Don't think that you have to spend all this time starting from scratch every time you relaunch an offer.
Definitely. And I would put that under what went well. So if you like the videos you share, if you like the reels, put that into your what went well. So like Andy said, reuse the content as much as you can. The most important question is on the last one, which is how could this be fun and simple for you? Now, you may want to do something a little more complicated than the word simple, but how could you simplify it to make it easy and fun for you? Like Andy said, email templates are amazing because all you really want to do is just plug in those new images, plug in those new stories, inspiration, but you have the template already written. So it's a lot easier to push those emails out again. And yeah, that's the first one. So that takes a lot of mental work. It takes a little bit of looking back. So I would definitely sit down and do like a meeting with myself. I would probably pour a fresh cup of coffee. I would set up at least an hour to go through that old launch material. And if you have been tracking metrics for your launches, it's a great time to look at your metrics as well. How many people were looking, how many people were clicking through your emails, how many people were on that landing page, and how many purchased. And really look at those conversions and then see how you can up them. And that goes right into the second part. So first is preparing. The second one is creating goals around a launch and a timeline. So the goal part is really important because if you don't know how much you want to sell, how many people you want to convert, it's really hard to work back and figure out how much you do need to push out there or how much you want to push out there in forms of content. And I love the strategy we learned in Shannon Brinkley's class, which was the good, better, and best goals. So you're not stuck on one. You can have a good one. So what would be the amount of conversions, amount of sales, amount of students that you could get to make this feel good and to actually put on the workshop or to actually feel like it was worth creating this pattern and publishing it? Like, that's your good goal. Like, this is good. I feel good about this. It's not great, but it's good. The next one is better. Like, oh, this is doing better. This is good. Like, good, instead of just good, right? That's your better. And then best would be like mind blowing. This did way better than I thought. I'm so excited for this. And then plan backward for your best goal. That way, if you hit your good, it still feels good. If you hit your better, it feels even better. And if you hit your best, because that's what you're aiming for, it feels amazing. And then I would also look at, what are you tracking for those good, better, best? So remember, we can only control so much. Having a monetary goal is good, but you need to be able to track that backwards to figure out how many people you need to be coming through the door to purchase to reach that monetary goal. And then how many times do you need to share to get those people in the door to get that monetary goal? So it's all about working backwards.
Now, I have always heard through online marketing and things that with the funnel, you end up with about a 2% conversion rate. So if you have 100 people come to your event or see your email or whatever, only 2 are going to buy. So that's why that funnel needs to be so big at the top, and you have to get traffic to your offers, because it really does trickle down to the amount that people actually purchase or sign up for things. So do you think that 2% is still about right? Is that what you've heard?
Yeah, that's still what I've heard. And it depends on your price point too. So if you're selling a course that's $300, you're going to need a longer launch runway. A lot of people runway. I call it a pre-launch. So you're going to need a lot more time to kind of share about this and really get warm with your audience so they know you, they trust you, so they will spend $300 to take a course with you. And there's a lot of different ways you could do that, of getting a lot of people in. But that is something you got to keep in mind. Like Andi said, if 100 people are coming in, the average is 2%. So if you have 100 people coming in, again, 2 purchases, is that your better goal? Is that your good goal? Yeah. If that's not your good goal, you got to up those people coming in, up those eyes on your offers. And again, there's multiple ways that you can do eyes on your offers, but that's how you work backwards. So that's the goal part, and then the timeline. So we are kind of talking about a launch runway or pre-launch. If this is a larger offer, you may need a longer timeline. If this is a $10 pattern, you don't really need that long of a runway. You may lose traction with your audience if you're teasing too far in advance and it takes you 3 months to get the pattern. That could be a little too long. With a pattern, I would say about 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, if it's a complicated one, or like a method that's a little more complicated, like FPP, or I'm thinking something that takes a long time, like EPP might take a long time, English paper piecing where you're hand piecing. That could take longer. So you want to kind of give them 3 weeks to warm up, finish their project they're working on maybe, and get ready for yours. And because keep in mind, our audience does take a long time to finish their projects if they finish them at all. So keep that in mind. So there's that. So you want to make sure you have a start time when you're starting to promote this and an end day. You want an ending, whether this is, like I said in the beginning, you're closing the doors, or you're ending a sale, a percentage off, you're ending a bundle. So maybe they buy the pattern, they get a free ruler, but you're ending it on a day. And then the last one. So we got preparing is number 1. And that it's a lot of mental work. The second one is your goals and your timeline. And then the third one is to execute. So you want to make sure that you are scheduling as much as you can in advance, because during the launch sequence, you're going to be answering comments. You're going to be replying to questions. You're going to get new ideas and want to share different images than what you originally started with. And you need the bandwidth to do that. Because if you're busy in there writing the email you're supposed to schedule 2 weeks ago, you're not going to have the creativity, the energy to really put towards the comments and to connect with people and to be creative in the moment and be excited. Because that's part of the launch too, is you want to have fun. You want to bring the excitement, and it helps with the mindset of your launch, but also helps with the woo-woo, the energy around a launch, because people can feel that. And I'm learning more and more about like the woo-woo part of it. And I can really see like the difference. You can tell when somebody's really into their launch and when they're not. So you do want to make sure you schedule and then execute your plan.
And that it really is the key, that if you do that planning work ahead of time and commit and actually show up, it's like you're trusting your former self and you're making an agreement with your future self, and having that integrity to follow through and say, I can do these. I do the things I say I'm going to do. It just keeps that flow going and things run smoothly. You know, we're all pretty smart business women if we would just relax, trust ourselves, and do the things that we said we were going to do. We planned out this great launch. Yes, there are nerves when it actually comes time to hit send and execute, but it's fun to connect with other quilters and other crafters. So when you do follow through and, you know, get those results, it does spark that joy for continuing to make the offers. So get over the nerves, do it scared. It does get easier.
It does. While you were talking, I thought about a fourth one.
Okay.
So I'm going to throw a fourth one in there. And that is to follow up at the end of the launch. So after you end it, I like to send out an email asking, why didn't you purchase? Why didn't you join? Just to see what they say. See if I answered the objections in the best way possible. See what I can improve on for the next launch. But I don't look at that survey until I am getting ready to plan the next launch because of my emotional state. Okay, I do wait to look at that survey. But I do send out a next email saying thank you, because I do see the responses coming in. I see you got a response, you got a response, you got a response. But I don't go and read it until I'm emotionally stable, because a launch is a roller coaster. We've talked about that before. And I do wait, but I do encourage you to take some time, whether it's right away or a few weeks later when you're, again, emotionally stable, to look at the feedback and then look at your numbers. Because you may have a better conversion rate than 2%. And then next time you launch that, all you really need to do is get more people through the door to see your offer, and you can have a much bigger launch. So what do I mean by that? Maybe you got 300 people through the door and you had 4 people, how about 6 people? 6 people buy, and you're like, oh my gosh, 300 people saw this, only 6 people bought the pattern. Like, I really wanted to sell at least 10, and then it doesn't feel great. And you take some time to process that. And a week later, you go back and you're like, 300 people, 6 purchases. That's a 2% conversion rate. And you see how that feels so much better to hear that 2%. So all you really need to do is get more eyes on that pattern, and it could sell better next time. So you know how to get more people through the funnel, more conversions, more money for that pattern.
Yeah, and that's the bottom line, is we do want to be making money. We are running businesses, and it's fine if you don't want to focus on the numbers. You know, it's perfectly fine to have quilting as a hobby and, you know, share your patterns with your friends, and that's great. There's room for everyone. And I guess I'm struggling a little bit because we always say that, you know, you don't want to always be comparing yourself, but yet we need to analyze our numbers and know where we are in relation to our goals. So That's, I guess, just one of the ironies of being human is we've got these competing interests, and, we have to take care of our mental health by stepping away from things, but we do need to take a look at it occasionally. So,
And I find that looking at the numbers helps me separate the emotion. And like I said, I usually have to take a week or two to like calm and be good with looking at these. But once I do, I feel it kind of separates the emotion and it lets me analyze rather than be in my feels. I want to be in my feels. But I really enjoy that part. I like seeing, even if I have zero conversion. So I've shared before that I have the digital marketing magic coaching program. And sometimes I'll do not soft launch, but a more simplified launch, and I'll get crickets. And I've done that at least 3 times where I have shared it, done I don't know what to call it yet. Maybe a mini launch. Like I'm not hard selling it. I'm just like, here's the offer. And I get crickets. But when I hard sell it, I have more conversions, but I don't always have the energy to hard sell it. So you're really taking a look at that part of it as well. And I think, that was part of preparing, is like, how did it make you feel to launch it? Like when I did the membership one time, I went through email last year. When I did the end of the year, I was going through everything I did. What did I learn from it? That kind of thing. I realized that the email, I put so much energy into it, but I was scared. I went back and watched those videos, just like little bits of it. I didn't watch the whole thing. And I was shaking. I was nervous. And I'm like, okay, I'm never doing that again. I'm not pre-recording videos to send out in an email. That's not going to work for me. I'm going to stick with the stuff that felt good, which was offering a free workshop to show you the basics and what the program is all about, and to invite you through the door. And this year I've been trying out these couple months, like free workshops. Just come in, take a simple free workshop with me. I'll share the DMMC with you. So far, we haven't had any conversions yet, but I'm hopeful and it feels good. That's the thing. And with my program in particular, it's a long-term kind of thing. I have to really build trust with other businesses and really take some time to get to know them and them to get to know me before I get conversions. But I know that I may have somebody on my list for 2 years before they're ready to work with me. I know that the average person coming into my program has been in business for at least 2 to 3 years before they're really looking for digital marketing help. So I already know that on the front end. So new business is coming in. I'm like, hey, can I give you some basics? And then maybe in 2 years when you're ready, you'll look more into what I'm offering. And I'm okay with that. But it took looking at the metrics. It took reflecting to really understand my audience and to understand what I needed to do so that I am successful in the long run.
Yeah. That setting yourself up for long-term growth is definitely a great insight, and I'm excited for you. So tell us one more time about Workshops Unleashed, our sponsor for this episode.
So Workshops Unleashed is my book. It's called, the full title is Workshops Unleashed, How to Design Engaging and Successful Workshops for Quilters and Crafters. So the first part of the book is all about designing your workshop, how to map it and really organize it so that you are providing a quality product. And then the second part is all about marketing. So we have a basic marketing plan in there called the Student's Journey, which allows you to kind of picture how the student's going to work with you throughout your before, during, and after the workshop, and how you can follow up with them. And then it has a 10-day launch plan inside. So it walks you through 10 days before you release your workshop. Day 1, this is what you're going to do. Day 2, this is what you're going to do. And it has ideas for pre-launch. So if you want to really rev up that launch runway, that pre-launch, you have some ideas and some really great questions and ideas to get it going. That's workshop, and it has templates in it, and a secret podcast, which has been amazing, and you'll never guess who's on it. There's Andi on it.
That's fantastic. So where can people find the book Workshops Unleashed?
So you can purchase Workshops Unleashed on Amazon. You can purchase it through Ingram Spark. I do have a page on my website that links to everything, and that's thequiltpatchbytori.com. And I think that's it.
Okay. Well, I want to give a special treat for the people on YouTube. So I know that podcast is an audio format, and a lot of our listeners are doing just that. They're listening on Apple, they're listening on Spotify, but we also put the video of our podcast recording on YouTube, and you've got a really interesting quilt in the background, Tori. So tell us what you're working on there.
I forgot it was there. I'm working on Deco. It's a quilt pattern called Deco by Lo and Behold, and it's not my pattern. Lo and behold, it is for my niece's wedding, and I am trying to finish this quilt in a week because I have a week, and the long arm is available on Saturday, and I have one day to quilt it. So I got to finish this very soon.
Okay, good luck with that. And I will just put a shout out for my 2025 jelly roll pattern. I love to use 2.5-inch strips, and this was my New Year's Day 4-bits mystery, but mystery has been released. You can find the full pattern, and it makes a fun lap size quilt from just one jelly roll. So those are some great projects, some wonderful visuals for those people who are watching on YouTube. So thanks again for tuning in to this episode, and we hope you have fun in your business and do a little quilting on the side. What a great discussion. If you enjoyed this episode of Quilting on the Side, please leave us a review on whichever platform you're listening. It can be iTunes, Spotify, or even our YouTube channel.
And hit the subscribe button so you don't miss our next chat. Until then, remember to have fun in your business and do a little quilting on the side.